anything on the live here, but apparently we're live.
Says we're live.
Let me see if I can open it here. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I have it, but if I open up my YouTube, it doesn't, it kind of messes with things. Whatever. Anyways, welcome. If you guys are seeing this, we recorded it, or it's live. Whitney, one of my homies in sort of the mind body healing community, also someone that I do work with and for in the design space. She's obviously got her, company called the Design Remedy Studio, and Design to Heal, right, is your new YouTube channel. Yeah, so we just decided to hop on here and do a live, see if this works, see if anyone even watches it.
We're
And
YouTube newbies.
yeah, we're both
Just
YouTube
seeing what
newbies,
happens.
honestly. But we wanted to talk about, both of us have fallen down the different paths of mind body healing, of brain retraining, of nervous system work, and things like that. And we've also kind of distanced ourselves in some ways from that, right? When you like
Yeah.
when you say that, Whitney. And so we're just going to talk about what we kind of see, that is maybe some red flags in the brain retraining, in the mind body community of healing. I don't know if you want to say anything about yourself, Whitney, like,
Yeah.
introduce yourself or
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I've been kind of on a recovery journey for
Yeah.
I had sort of this is sort of my second round, kind of like you. Like I had sort of my, first really bad perfect storm and got, chronic pain and
Yeah.
lots of anxiety and stuff and overcame it. And the first time I got out of it was really just changing my response. And yeah, learning to accept what I was feeling,
Yeah.
learning to understanding that, I was actually safe and, you know, basically back then I didn't even hear about the nervous system. It was just like your brain's misfiring these signals, it's perceiving a threat, it's an accumulation of stress.
Yeah.
And the way out of it the first time around for me was changing my response, accepting it, bringing symptoms with me, getting back to living my life.
Mm.
Um I did do some in terms of like a official tool, but this wasn't really even something called brain retraining or nervous
Yeah.
system regulating anything. It was just somatic tracking,
Yeah.
which is really just an exercise in allowing and changing
Hmm.
your response and bringing down the fear so that your relationship with these unpleasant sensations is becoming more neutral. That's all it's really
Yeah.
doing. And that got me better. Like those
Yeah.
are the
Yeah.
things that I did. I did a little bit of emotional work, some journaling and things just to kind
Yeah.
of obviously process maybe what led to this and
Yeah.
how I might have needed to feel some emotional,
Hmm.
energy that was kind of underneath the symptoms. But that was it. And it was pretty like it wasn't easy, but overall I would say it was pretty simple what
Yeah.
I did that got me well.
Yeah.
And then I got, hit with my second kind of perfect storm, which was, um, the pandemic, getting COVID, getting the vaccine, and then having sudden like adverse reactions and intolerance to the SSRI and the benzo that I was on after like many years of being on that and having to withdraw off of that really rapidly,
Yeah. Wow.
pretty much cold turkey, like was such a hit to my whole system. So I became, really symptomatic once again.
Hmm.
And this time it was way more symptoms and mental, physical, like everything you could probably name, I've experienced at this point. But this second time around, like, this has now, like, we've moved forward a few years from when I kind of my first round. And this whole community, this mind body space, like I started seeing a lot of stuff that was different now.
Yeah.
Now it's like your nervous system is dysregulated. You need nervous system regulation. You need brain retraining. You need to be doing all of these, things every single day. And it was sort of like almost these protocols in a
Yeah.
sense that, and I think because I was where I was at, and I was having a lot of chronic illness, and originally it was chronic pain the first time for me that I got out of, and chronic illness was kind of a whole, there's a lot of neurological symptoms
Yeah.
too and mental symptoms, and um so in hindsight, I kind of wish I just stuck to what I knew
Yeah.
originally because it was more simple.
Yeah.
I think I would have just probably had a lot less pressure I was putting on myself,
Yep.
and it probably would have been a bit of a smoother journey. But,
Yeah.
with hearing all these success stories of people who had POTS and chronic fatigue and, reactions to the vaccine or long COVID, saying that they had to do brain retraining and they had to do all this nervous system
Yeah.
regulating work, I kind of fell into that like, "Oh,
Yep. So did
okay,
I.
maybe this is a different, like,
Mhm.
sort of approach that's still addressing the root, the nervous system or the brain, but, like, I guess I need to go this way now." And so I did that for a while, and looking back, it's so interesting because there was always this part of me that kind of felt like deep down, something about it felt, I don't know, like this isn't sitting
Yeah.
right with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't put my finger on it for the longest time
Yeah.
until now, now that
Yeah.
I'm sort of
Yeah.
out of it and I've gotten better back to basically doing
Yeah.
what I did before. And then it's like,
Exactly.
oh,
Yeah.
shoot. Like,
Well, yeah.
yeah. And so that's kind of, I definitely, I guess, will I try to be careful when I talk about this a bit because I don't want anyone who's doing that to feel like, oh, it's gonna maybe because lots of people do those programs or do
Yeah.
those things and then they do get well. And, we're all kind of unique in a way. But
Well,
I do think there's a
yeah.
lot of people out there, though, that aren't getting well, like
Yeah. Yeah.
how I was. And it's frustrating and you feel even more broken or like, why isn't this working for me?
Yeah.
And I just wanna sort of speak to those people because I think it really was sort of a delay. It kinda delayed my recovery
Yeah.
because there was resistance like, happening in there. Like, it was almost teaching me, I feel, looking back now, compulsions and resistance and
Yeah.
trying to shift too hard and trying to make something go away
Yeah. Yeah.
rather
Which is not
than
helpful.
just accept it and allow it to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and this is a good point, but I think something that often happens in like something that happens with a lot of people, sometimes you have to do the wrong things to find the
Mhm.
right way,
Yeah.
and like your story's not is very similar to mine because when I healed, 15 years ago from chronic Lyme disease, I followed a very simple thing that I didn't even know like what brain retraining was. I didn't know neuroplasticity. I didn't really know much about the nervous system. Like I knew about like some about, but not as intensely as I know now. And so like it is a blessing and a curse to have all of this knowledge and all of this information, where it's like, okay, well, these are the things that are going on. This is what I need to do. All these accounts and all these people are telling me this is what I need to do to heal. But often it's almost like this is the way you need to go to figure out, okay, not this, something similar, but like not this. And that's exactly what happened to me. So when I got sick, it's only been almost 4 years, honestly, since I relapsed in my health stuff. Now that I think about it, it was end of December, 2022, or 2021, going into 2022. That's the thing is like I had a friend recommend like one of these programs, like DNRS, and
That's what
so
happened
I,
for me, yeah.
huh?
Same thing, a friend
Yeah.
recommended DNRS,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I looked into it and I was like, "Oh, this is a lot of like some of the principles within here are exactly what I did to heal, like
Yep.
almost 15 years, earlier." And so then I started one of these programs. It wasn't DNRS, it was another one. I won't say like names or whatever. And I started it and I just kind of like you, I felt something felt off. I felt like this feels forced and rigid and all of that sort of stuff. But there are some amazing principles within it, right? There
Mhm.
are some like I do believe in helping rewire the subconscious mind because,
Mhm,
as we know, the subconscious mind can kind of like rule a lot of our
mhm.
day-to-day life and can kind of sabotage our healing and all that stuff. So I'm even when I healed, 15 years prior, I did work around the subconscious mind and, things like that. And you know but there was an element that was missing, which was, and I think you and I have talked about this, is that acceptance and allowing and surrendering to the flow of healing versus trying to control. And that's where some of those programs kind of, I don't know if they intentionally do it that way. I think it becomes an inadvertent thing often, is like the principles are there, like, yeah, okay, well, there are things that we have to do, right, to heal. We can't just like sit there and pretend like everything's okay and it will go away. I just, like, we do have to do some of the work,
Yeah.
I believe, to heal, but it has to be done from that lens of acceptance, allowing, and then moving forward in a mindset of that versus I'm broken, my symptoms are broken, my nervous system is broken, I need to fix, and that's like one of the red flags that happens with a lot of those programs, right? Is like, even if it's not um even if it's not verbally or talked about in that way, a lot of the people within those programs and unintentionally even like the leaders of some of the neuroplasticity brain retraining programs will lead people down the path of the stop, I've got to fix versus surrender, I've got to allow, and then you take action from allowing, right? I don't know if that's kind of what you were thinking as well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
exactly, and there's a lot of, like, pattern interrupt,
yeah,
and, I mean, there's something to be said for that, but I
yeah,
think that, you know, refocusing back on life, yes, like, that's
yeah,
ultimately
yeah,
part of this, that's part of the work is,
yeah.
and it does communicate messages of safety to the
Mhm.
system when you're focusing on other things.
Yeah,
You're sending this message of, like, "This is what matters. This is
yeah,
important. We're okay." Like, you have to show your brain and your nervous system that you're safe. You can't just tell it and talk to
yeah.
it and tap at it and do all these things. Like, you need to actually show it with your behaviors and your actions. And I think that's where, like, some
Mhm.
of the that like you, like when I saw and I've seen the inside of like pretty much every program out there because
Yeah,
I work in this space too. And
yeah,
it's, with my clients and, there's sort of this kind of analysis of like, well, what else is going on in this space and how am I positioning people that they're different from each other? So I kind of need to see what's going on.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, like to your point, I was also in recovery and you start seeing all this stuff and you start thinking you need to do all of it.
yeah,
But the redirect thing, the pattern interrupt thing, um, like it made sense to me when I
mm,
saw it. So then I'm
yeah,
just like, like you, there was a lot of things I saw in there that I'm like, yeah, this is very in line like with what I've done
yeah,
before in a way. But I think what feels different about it to me is it feels a little more militant and
yeah,
more pressure.
yeah, which
And
doesn't help
that is
heal.
not helpful for healing. Like, this is something I've talked about so much, and I keep like reiterating this point is that, like, that is actually how we got unwell is through
Yeah,
pressure,
mhm,
intensity, urgency, stress. And so, flexibility, being able to approach things with ease and not being perfect, not
yeah,
having perfectionism, and all the personality traits of pretty much everybody who does develop chronic symptoms like this. Usually they're very type A, usually they
yeah,
have perfectionism and people pleasing and all of that. And so if you hand them this program that's like, you have to be doing this for an
yeah,
hour a day or else, it's like they're like, oh my gosh, okay, like but
yeah,
that's
it does not
pressure,
help.
and if your system is already overwhelmed, you're already in this
Yeah,
overflowing state of overwhelm, then it that just can feel even more, overwhelming,
yeah, yeah,
which is, like,
exactly,
what
and
led you to get unwell,
yeah,
and I think that it's kind of a problem,
Yeah.
like there needs to be some flexibility. And I coached with people who, because that's how I felt when it was like, oh, you have to do this and you have to do this all day and you have to do this many times a day.
Yeah.
It kind of, I couldn't, like, I
Yeah.
would freeze and
Yeah.
just collapse because I was already so overwhelmed.
Uh-huh.
And some of the coaches said, well, just start with 5 minutes a day and like work your way up. But that
Yeah.
still kind of to me felt like I have to still be following this like rigid thing.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a mom. I work, like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's so many other variables in life that
Mhm.
can make it really tough to kind of be like doing this practice or this protocol in this exact way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, for me it just landed as a lot of pressure, and was not I was putting so much pressure on myself with it,
Yeah. Yeah.
um and what we need to be teaching people is how to have self-compassion, how to
Yeah.
be kind to yourself, how to relieve that self-pressure and that inner critic, how to notice it that it's there and not try to like push it away and interrupt it and redirect. It's like, but to accept, to surrender to it, to allow it, to kind of
Yeah.
see it for what it is and observe what's going on. And yeah, so it felt like a lot of pushing away when I
Yeah.
was in there. And um so, yeah, I don't know. It's tricky because I do think that, like I said, engaging in life is good. Like we do need to be
Mhm.
doing that. That's crucial, actually.
Yeah.
That's a crucial step. It's just the method of getting there, I don't
Yeah.
think needs to be um forced in
Yeah.
like, and a lot of this comes down to like the language, that's like a big difference between like
That
some of these
is.
programs and
Yeah.
then the acceptance allowing part. It's the language.
It really
Like
is.
I had somebody comment on a YouTube video of mine the other day and said, "Well, I tried getting back to life and just powering through and I didn't get
Like,
well." And I said,
that's
"That what you just said, powering through, tells me everything I need to know."
yeah, yeah, you're forcing and fighting against what is. Like you're
Right.
pressuring yourself through and just literally like white knuckling. And that's not what yeah, that's not going to help too.
No,
It's
it's
like it's a
not.
lot of nuances like kind of what you were
Yeah.
talking about with the language and the energy behind
Yeah.
what how we go about healing and doing
Yeah.
the right things, you know?
Yep. And
Yeah.
the language, it is so interesting, and it's something I've thought about a lot throughout my own recovery, because in some ways, a lot of everything everybody's saying kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But the terminology and the language is a bit different, and then that gets interpreted, and that can create a totally different energy for people.
Yeah.
Um, even I've talked about this before, but, like, even just saying nervous system dysregulation sounds like you're broken, something's
Yeah.
wrong if it's dysregulated. And, like, the way that I like to think about it is, this is just the state you're in.
Yeah.
It's not a condition, dysregulation, and it's
Yeah.
become so common now that I use that term all the time too now, dysregulate, and then I'm like, "Ah, I don't
Yeah.
wanna use that. I didn't used to use that."
I didn't
This
either. I didn't know anything about dysregulation, like, when I healed, just like, honestly, I don't even know, like, what made sense to me was, like, the anecdotal stories of people healing in these ways. It was almost like the recovery stories that I read that were like, basically just begin to live with your symptoms, don't let them control you, basically, do some of the right practices for yourself from, like, a lifestyle shift, and then let go, like allow the body to heal itself. And like that's really it sounds so simple. It sounds so freaking simple. It's hard though,
Yeah,
but that's the thing is like when you get so caught up in it, like we talked about, it can be a blessing and a curse. Like when like now I know all about nervous system dysregulation. I know exactly when I'm more stuck in like the sympathetic state, when I'm more in the shutdown state. I know how to tell people all the jargon and lingo, which is it can be helpful because I think too, and this we can get into this might be a good thing to talk about. I work with a lot of people with chronic illnesses, and they do think, well, I'm broken because all of my symptoms are related to Lyme disease or they're related to, you know, whatever, long COVID, or, retroviruses, or any of these things. And I'm also, and so sometimes it's good to have that knowledge and be like, but wait, hold on one sec. Could it be that it's your nervous system stuck on high alert and it's causing a lot of these symptoms? And by you telling yourself constantly, my brain is broken and infected by Lyme disease, that you are just reinforcing that. And so now, when you know, like, it's not my brain is broken or infected by Lyme disease, it's my nervous system trying to protect me because it feels like I'm under pressure. Now, that can sometimes, then having that knowledge can kind of like drop the shoulders and be like, yo, okay, I'm not broken. It is
Yeah.
actually, this is something that can
Mhm.
heal itself. My nervous system's not broken. It's something that now, and this goes into the language like we were talking about, I don't have to do it. I'm choosing to do it. I get to do some of the right practices because, I think that there are some helpful, subtle practices. It's not about being rigid. You got to do things an hour a day, and then, an hour in the evening, and you got to do them in this buttoned up way. But like, literally, some people I work with, I'm like, dude, when's the last time you took a deep breath today? Like, and like it's like a subtle thing that we can do that people often forget, like, just breathing
Mhm.
deep and being present. And like, like, there's no force in that. It's like, hey, I'm choosing to do this because it's going to benefit my nervous system. Like, and choosing, instead of a rigid protocol, like, I'm going to put on this relaxing music, and I'm going to, do a visualization in a gentle way because I want to help my body feel a little bit more safe in the moment with my symptoms. Not that they have to get rid of them or anything like that. And so, like, it's subtle things like that that I
Mhm.
think go a long way
Yeah.
versus, the
Yeah.
stop, 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 redirect.
Yeah.
It's just, and this also is where I think sometimes, people get confused with, what is force versus what is just, um, what is letting go and allowing and still taking action. This is kind of goes into also with, with that comment, whatever that person said. And I get that too sometimes, in my class. It's like the people will be like, I'm just white knuckling, I'm pushing through, and I don't, how do I know when to push and when to, and I'm like,
There's
never,
no
never
pushing.
push.
That
Yeah,
word, yeah,
yeah,
that word comes up so much,
yeah,
and it's it's an intense word.
yeah,
That's an intense energy. That feels like you're resisting your way through the whole thing, and it's just horrible.
yeah,
Whereas, I like the word practice,
yeah,
or, um, anything that can just, like, bring some ease to
yeah,
it. I'm experimenting with
yeah,
taking a walk with
mhm,
this and seeing what happens. Um, yeah, the language can be so intense. Like, it's either that's something, like, I think is so important to kinda pay attention to, and not in a pressury way,
yeah,
like, if you don't
yeah,
pay attention to this, you're not gonna get well.
yeah,
It's just, but notice, like, how things are landing for you,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
um and just the terminology, like, a lot of these programs, they'll say, like, brain injury or limbic system impairment, and like what you were talking about with the Lyme disease stuff. And then, it's so easy to get so hooked on thinking,
yeah,
because the symptoms can be debilitating. They can be extremely intense. And
yeah,
so the only thing that makes sense in our meaning making mind is like, oh, this is gotta be
yeah,
like related to this original thing.
yeah,
But it's always just what was the tipping point that put your system into survival
mhm,
mode, basically. And it doesn't really matter what that was. It doesn't. It could
yeah,
be a med, it could be a virus, it could be
yeah,
a trauma, anything that would just got to be where it was like the system was detecting danger, threat, the threshold was was crossed, and now the system has, moved over into that state, really.
yeah,
And that's all it is. It's a state. And I think even just, you know, saying that feels for me, it feels a less like, oh my God, I'm doomed and I have to
yeah,
do all these
yeah,
things to get out of this state.
mhm,
And with the tools, like, yeah, I think that Um, it's so hard because when people are in survival,
Yeah.
like, everything is going to come from a place of fight or
Yeah.
flight because you are in fight or flight. So it's so easy for people to start using the tools to fight the symptoms
Yeah.
or run
Yeah.
from them like that
Yeah.
because you're in fight or flight. It's
Mhm.
almost like you have to zoom out and like see it for what it really is, like all
Yeah.
of this,
Yeah.
and use if you're going to do some kind of a practice to support yourself, it's to
Yeah.
support yourself, it's to love yourself,
Mhm.
not to heal yourself, to shift yourself,
Yeah.
to make it go away in the moment.
Yeah.
It's just to feel safer with what's going on and be with it,
Yep.
But it's almost like a really tall ask, I think,
Mhm.
especially in the beginning when you're really in a hard place and things are really loud, and there's so much
Yeah.
fear, like, it feels like such a tall ask to be like, "Well, here's some tools that are gonna help you get better, but don't do them to get better." It's like,
Yeah.
of course I'm gonna do them to get but, like, that's the agenda for everybody.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
such a
agenda for everybody,
paradox.
like, it
Yeah.
is, it's a paradox. It's
Yeah.
like so you have to kind of almost think of it as, like, that of course you're gonna have a goal of getting better, like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna sit here and say, like, you have to never want that.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
way to get better. Like, no, like you're gonna want that. But that has to be sort of the long-term
Yeah. The
end
long
game
game.
goal.
Yeah.
But like in the present moment, day to day, that can't be the goal, is
Yeah.
to feel different and feel better. If anything,
Yeah.
like what's helped me is if I decide based off of my values, I'm gonna go do this activity or go
Mhm.
do this event or engage in this thing, I go into it like I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I go and do this.
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
feel horrible
You
the
never know.
whole time. I might feel better or I might
Yeah.
feel the same,
Yeah.
but that's not really why I'm going.
Yeah.
It's like not to feel different, not to, and if I feel worse, it is what it is. Like
Yeah.
I'm going because I want to participate in my
Mhm.
life.
Yep.
And yeah, and I think for a while, at different stages of my own healing, like, there were times where I felt like I was kind of pushing myself to go
Mm.
live life because I knew that was the way out of
Yeah.
this. But then that's almost the same thing as using a tool as a weapon
Yeah.
to heal and fix.
Yeah.
And 'cause then you get out and you're like, "Why do I still feel bad? I'm getting out,
Yeah.
I'm doing things." But you can't be doing those things because you wanna get better. You gotta be doing those things because you just, those are aligned with your values. That's it.
Exactly. That's I wish I had a book on me. That's the, this is why, like, I don't think a lot of people, I think people, when I say acceptance and commitment therapy, they think like you have to see a therapist and that it's like some another rigid protocol. And it's like that. It's like, accept the situation as is, get clear on your values and the life that you want to live and take committed action, whatever that looks like, little by little to go towards that life. So it's, it is engaging in some things, and sometimes there is discomfort within that. But the discomfort, um, you know, needs to be allowed, needs to be understood that this
Mhm,
is part of the way through to
mhm,
build that safety in your body. Like if
mhm,
we avoid discomfort constantly, we're just again staying in our little cocoon of nervous system dysregulation hell, which is basically the comfort zone of I'm not triggering myself, I'm not pushing myself beyond my boundaries or my window and expanding myself. And then this is where a lot of people, get agoraphobic. They're down to, eating two or three foods. Because it's like they let all of the symptoms, sensations, and then the fears beyond them to allow the fears of the symptoms and sensations to push them even smaller and smaller into this like tightly wound box. And that's kind of like where we talk a ton about, you really, the first place to heal from is by making peace as best you can in the moment with the symptoms and sensations. doesn't mean you have to like them, doesn't mean you have to love them, doesn't mean you have to really even believe that they're just going to be there. It just means you have to accept them. Like welcome them as like an annoying friend, right? That's just like kind of there. It's like, yeah, he's my friend, but like, we've been known each other for a while now, and he's still a good dude. Like he's just trying to protect me. And
Mhm.
like that's the way to accept and allow your symptoms. And then with that, this is the paradox of it all, is like truly, and I even hate to say this when I talk to people, because then they think the accepting and allowing is now a form of getting better. It's like,
Mhm.
but when you truly accept and allow, the paradox of it is it does improve your symptoms. Like it
Yeah,
sure does. I can't tell you how many
it's
times.
true,
Yeah.
and the paradox in
Yeah.
that too is, like, when you truly accept and allow, when you're authentically doing
Yeah.
that, you don't care
Yeah.
if you heal.
Yeah. It's like
Like, that's how you know, you can feel it.
yeah.
It's a different energy, like
Yeah.
and I can tell when I'm in that now and when I'm
Yeah.
not, and
Yeah.
it's this subtle thing, it's not even like, it's wordless, like, it's a feeling, it's sort of a very subtle shift. It's like I dropped the rope. I can tell that I'm not at war with anything in
Yeah.
myself right now.
Yeah.
The
It's yep.
symptom might still be there, but there's this peace that's
Mhm.
kind of there with it.
Yeah.
I still don't like the symptom, it still
Yeah.
sucks,
And
but
it's
there's kind of a softening, right? It's
yeah.
just a softening to it being there.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes I still have, we're all human, like, there's definitely still times where I'm not fully accepting or allowing. Like, I'm bracing or I'm
Yeah.
like, especially with like anxiety stuff, the body's, sounding these alarms like, or even just a few days ago, like I was driving home and I had like kind of a little anxiety attack or a panic
Yeah.
attack and I could tell I wasn't
Yeah.
fully just like, "Fine, do it,
Yeah.
whatever,"
Yeah.
which sometimes I am able to do that, and when I authentically do that, that's the thing, is when I don't want it to go away, or I don't care if it goes away, and I really authentically feel that way, it just goes away so
Yeah.
fast.
It's so funny.
But you have to not want it to go away
Yeah.
almost for it to go
Yeah.
away. It's such a like, why are we designed this
Man,
way?
it,
Like,
it
why is the
really
system like
yeah.
this? It's, like, so
It's
unfair.
like everything that we think we need to do in order to heal, like do the opposite, because
Yeah.
it's like the paradox of healing. It's like the more you focus on healing, the less likely you are to heal. The more you focus on living, the more likely you are to heal. But you're like, but I'm not focused on living. Yeah, and it's like the same deal with like when you're dealing with anxiety attack. The more you focus and try to control it and resist it and judge it and then place you know
Mhm.
um you know resistance to it, whatever that be, whether it's
Yeah.
anxiety on top of anxiety, anger
Mhm.
over anxiety, frustration on the anxiety, like that's just more resistance.
Yep.
But then when you truly like accept it, it's like, oh, the anxiety is like, okay,
It
I
just
don't need to
burns out
figure.
on its own, like,
Yeah.
'cause all this is just energy, like, trying to
Yeah.
move through
Yeah.
anyway, and then we almost, like, close
Yeah.
the door and, like, trap it in there,
Yeah.
by
Exactly.
being like, "Stop," and then it's
Yeah.
kind of like has nowhere to go at that point.
Hmm.
There's it's but when you fully accept, like, there's nothing for the fear to feed off of anymore, like, it's
Yeah.
just it'll just dissipate, and but it's a practice, like, getting to that, with and not just
Yeah.
anxiety, but any emotion or any sort of stress or any symptom that's, like, really
Yeah.
intense, it's just practicing that over and over, and you're not gonna be perfect, and that's okay, and
No, yeah.
yeah.
We fall in and out of like acceptance and surrender. It's like a spectrum and you fall in and out of it. And even if like I feel like even if you're a freaking Zen Buddhist monk, like you probably will still struggle at times with resistance in life. It's just like the journey and the goal is to struggle less and
Mhm,
to accept more. So it's instead of
mhm,
acceptance, it's like accepting and
mhm,
allowing versus,
mhm,
so there's going to be times like, and I still like, again, like no one likes anxiety. When you get an anxiety attack, your immediate rush to judgment is like, oh no, did I do something wrong? Oh no, like what's going on? And it's part of your nervous system and your brain's natural response. But then like when you after you kind of go through that initial thing, now there's a choice do we continue to perpetuate it, feed into it, or
Mhm.
do we send ourselves, messages of safety? And that it can look like self-talk, like this is safe, I'm going to be okay. But in more reality, it's like the embodiment of allowing, and that sometimes look like just relaxing your body, chilling, laying back. Sometimes it's deep breathing, practices, diaphragmatic breathing practices, and it's just whatever you got to do. Like it'll shift eventually. I'm not trying to make it shift, but it's
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah, it's kinda like, what can you do to support yourself while something like that is there, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Maybe it's grounding in, feeling the seat beneath you. It's
yeah,
just sort of so you feel like you're like, "Okay, I'm kinda anchoring while the storm is, like, thrashing me around right
yeah,
now, but, like, I'm have a sense of, like, just hold the line, like, it's
yeah,
gonna go," you know, and you don't
yeah,
need to do anything. It's like, do nothing. And I
yeah,
remember, like, at one point, there was a coach I had been working with for a little bit, and she was telling me that um, with mind body symptoms, it's kind of like uh, you know, okay, let me back up. So let's say you have a cold, right? Like,
yeah.
what do you do when you have a cold? Do you go research it and try
No,
to solve
you
it
just let
and,
your body.
do all these
Yeah,
things, right? Like, you're just like, I have a cold. There's nothing I can do. You
yeah,
accept it and you trust that your immune system is going to fight it.
yeah,
And, you might keep an eye on if like things are getting more intense. Maybe there's an infection or, do I need to get about, is this something I now need to, but usually you're
yeah,
kind of just like waiting it out and you're
yeah,
riding it out and it's going to get better, but you're also kind of there to assess if it's getting worse, if you need to do something about it. But
yeah,
usually it's just sort of a surrender. Like it's
yeah,
like, okay, what am I going to go watch? What am I going to until
yeah,
this passes? Like what can I do to support myself while I feel it's this crappy virus working through my
yeah,
body? And that's kind of it. And
yeah,
it's the same thing if you like so it makes sense, right? We don't need to intervene because we've accepted as a
yeah,
society that like when you get a cold, there's nothing you can do other than just
yeah.
wait.
You
So
can
like
take some
we
vitamins
all that's
and
what
drink chicken
everybody's
soup.
accepted, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
And then like, if you walked up to a wall and you kicked it really hard with your foot and then your toe hurts, you know there's nothing I can do. I kicked the wall, like, my
yeah,
toe hurts, it's gonna hurt for a little bit, like, it
yeah,
makes sense. Ow, that sucks.
yeah,
But, like, you're not gonna go on Google and do all this research and try to, do all this nervous system regulation t
yeah,
because it makes sense to you, and so
yeah,
you just accept it. What happens when we have these chronic conditions that are from stress,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense to the mind
yeah,
because it's like, "Wait, it's not a cold, there's not a virus right now," or I didn't go slam, my foot into a wall and stub my toe, like, why is this symptom here and why is it so
yeah,
intense? And so then we feel like we have to figure it out and do all this stuff to it, and now it's chronic because
yeah,
now we are resisting it and we're, like, putting all this emphasis and focus on it, and we're pouring gasoline on the fire and reinforcing that this is a problem, something's wrong, we're not safe, this doesn't make sense. So that's where like the education is super important. But
mhm,
then again, like now you need to take that education and implement it and you need to now behave like you're okay. Like you need to
yeah,
just behave like I stubbed my toe and there's nothing I need to do about
mhm,
it.
yeah,
Instead, it's just replace that with my allostatic load got really high, something really stressed my system out, and I have this, and the nervous system will regulate itself as long as I keep giving it the right environment, which
yep,
is living my life, engaging, behaving like I'm all right,
yeah,
surrendering to this, accepting it, that's it. Like,
yeah,
you don't have to tell it to regulate.
yeah,
You don't have to do things to make it like I don't even like all those biohacks and things on like, here's what you need to do to reset your nervous system
I
right
know,
now.
I
It's
hate
kind of like
those.
to me, when I look at that stuff now, if I see something like that, like go do this and regulate your nervous system, I read it the same way as if I read something that was like, go do this and digest your food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, what?
It's
You don't have to
ridiculous.
tell like that will just do it on its own. My
Yeah,
digestive system will digest its food on its own. I don't have to
mhm,
communicate a certain thing to it to make it happen. Like, I don't have to tell my
yeah,
hair to grow. It's I don't know. So when I see like go regulate your nervous system, or do this nervous system regulation,
Yeah,
it's like do this food digestion, do
I
this hair
know.
growing, do that. Like,
Yeah.
why? Why do we need to do that? No, we just need to get out of the way. It'll do it
Mhm.
on its own if you get out of the
It
way.
will.
That has been
Yeah.
the biggest lesson that I've learned in my whole entire recovery journey
Yeah.
is that it will regulate itself if I just get out of the way, and getting out of the way is acceptance.
Yeah.
It's just surrendering, and
Yeah.
it's so hard to do
It's
because
really hard.
there's fear that if you do that, it's gonna stay forever and you gave
Yeah.
up, and now
Yeah.
you're doing nothing, and you're not doing enough, and it's
Yeah.
like, that's the paradox
No,
is
that's the paradox, is when you're living, you will not your nervous system will heal and you will not even notice it. Like,
yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
tell people. It's like, if you really wanna hack, if you really wanna hack to heal, go freaking live your life as though your body is healing and forget about nervous system dysregulation and all of that. And eventually, not saying it will happen in a week or even a month, but over time, your nervous system will heal for the most part. You'll still have ups and downs, but it will heal. And the way to do it too, like, is find joy. Find
mhm,
what brings you joy. No, don't just go like live. It's not like, exposure therapy where you're going in like, sitting in torturous places. It's like, no, what brought you joy? Or what could bring you joy in this moment? What could bring you some peace in this moment, you know, right now? And then continue to do those things in like true joy, not sitting there on scrolling on your phone, not sitting
yeah,
there engaging in like unhealthy behaviors, but things that are like, that bring you peace and ease to your nervous system, in ways that don't feel like a protocol or, a rigid routine. It's like, cool, if walking right now could benefit you, like, yeah, and I think walking would help me feel a little bit better. Maybe I need to, like, move my body a little bit. Cool, like, that's a great thing to do, versus, like, I've gotta get up and go walk, It's
mm,
like, no,
yeah,
actually, I think I could use a walk, it's
mhm,
walking is good for my body, so I'm gonna do that too, and often, like, sometimes, like, a nervous system regulation practice is just walking, and
mhm.
listening to the freaking birds. It's
It's
like
so basic because, like,
yeah,
we're just human beings, not human doings. It's
yeah,
like just being in nature,
yeah,
getting sunshine,
yeah,
socializing, connecting,
yeah,
just these basic things of just living really
yeah,
is it. Um, yeah,
yeah,
it's and, in terms of, like, the joy, yeah, I mean, finding things that bring you joy. For a long time, and I know you dealt with this too, nothing brought me joy, and
yeah, same,
I I couldn't feel joy. It was like I had completely lost
same,
access to that
same,
emotion, and it sucked. I'm not gonna lie, like, it sucks because it's just sorta like, "Oh my gosh, like, what's the point of anything?" Like, I'm just kind of going through the
yeah,
motions, and I'm not experiencing any of that, but, what helped me in that regard, like, if there's anyone that's in that position right now and is just like, "Ah, I can't go do things that bring me joy," that's okay, like, what used to bring you joy, just
yeah,
do that,
exactly,
and eventually it might, and if it doesn't, okay, fine, but, like, I kinda switched that to, like, instead of seeking out joy because I just kept getting frustrated because 'cause I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm not enjoying it." I just started seeking out novelty.
yeah, that's true, that's a great
So
point.
then it was
Yeah,
like,
something
well, I'm just gonna go do something that, like, I don't normally do,
mhm,
which is nice because it's interesting. It's
yeah,
bringing something in that's new, like a new experience. Like maybe, yeah, maybe I'm just gonna go walk somewhere different, or maybe I'm gonna go check out like, this little, art festival, or like,
yeah,
even if I'm like, I don't really feel like it's gonna bring
yeah,
me joy and I don't want
yeah,
to, it's like, but it's different and
yeah,
it's something new or kinda different than my day-to-day life, and
yeah,
something about that would kinda wake up some of those feelings for me a little bit,
mhm, yeah,
because I was just giving my system, like, opportunities to feel joy if it wanted to,
yeah,
or if it decided it was safe enough to. It's just
yeah,
kind of eventually it did get the message like, "Oh, okay, it's safe to turn that back on, and now we can
yeah.
feel it again."
That's exactly what
Um
happens. That's exactly what happened to me. I do you know, have you heard the term anhedonia?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
I
that's
definitely had that for probably, like, 2 years.
I had that for, like, years as well,
Yeah,
and, very severely, like,
yeah.
back in, like, 2015, 2016, to the point where I was like, "Oh my god," like, this is why some people end things, like,
Yeah,
it's like that
exactly.
where
Because you're like, "What's the point if you can't feel anything good?" And
yeah,
all I felt was bad emotions, that's
yeah,
it.
that's all
There
I
was no neutral or good. It
yeah,
was just
yeah.
negative
It
feelings.
was just
That was it.
existing, yeah,
Yeah,
existing and,
yeah,
like, just
yeah,
going through hell over and over
yeah.
again, and it's like, man, and that's kind of yeah, that's where, you know, that was really where I learned about because I tried all these protocols. Like I was trying to treat Lyme then. I was trying to, take these herbs and supplements and for mental health, and none
Yep,
of it worked. I
I
tried
did that too.
antidepressants. They just made me
Mhm,
worse, honestly. They didn't help at all. But then again, this is, I go back to the acceptance and commitment thing. I stumbled upon a book that was like, if you're dealing with anhedonia, if you're dealing with severe depression, like this is a tactic or a method that helps a lot of people. And that was it. It was like for me, it was like going back, okay, well, I can't feel joy now. I can't feel peace. I don't even feel like doing anything right now. I don't even feel like laying here. I don't like it, everything just
mhm,
felt like pure hell.
bad. Mhm,
But in the past, I like to go skateboard. Okay. Well, can you go roll around on your skateboard right now? Yeah, I don't want to. Well, I don't care. Like, basically, go do it anyway. Like,
mhm,
truthfully, that is what helped me heal. It was like those moments of, okay, I'm just gonna try this. I don't feel like doing it. But what's the alternative? To sit here and be in misery, or like kind of like you said, have that novelty, that something new that breaks up the monotony. And
mhm.
again, like honestly, when I started doing that, the little glimmers came
Yeah.
back,
You start
and
getting little glimpses of
yeah,
like, "Wait, I kind of felt a little bit, like, content, kind
yeah,
of."
yeah,
And then you're like, "Whoa."
yeah,
Yeah, because it makes so much sense because 'cause you're just showing it like, "Hey, if I was really in danger,
yeah,
would I be out here skateboarding?
yeah,
No." And
exactly.
so eventually, the more you do that with repetition, it's like finally,
I know.
your brain is just like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah,
I guess okay. I guess, like, we can
yeah,
kind of feel this again, you
yeah,
know?"
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even it's not even if you're dealing with just anhedonia, because I've done these things when I've been dealing with anxiety, and it's helped
Mhm.
too. Like so
Yeah.
just a recent experience, like I still get anxiety sometimes. It doesn't like cripple me like it used to in the past, but just had a stressful week with like the Thanksgiving holiday. I was driving up and down the East Coast, and like people around me were sick, and I was just, things were triggering me, and I was just kind of like in it. And I was driving back from South Carolina to Florida, and it was like I had anxiety. I just had those, just the felt like my nervous system was a little bit wound up.
Mhm.
I felt uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Didn't really feel like doing these things, but I was driving home, and I was like, I could stop at the skate park on the way home that I've been wanting to go to. I ended up going and skating for like an hour and a half. It completely shifted my day to the point where I felt amazing while I was skateboarding and then amazing afterwards. And prior to it, I was dealing with anxiety. So, like, it's
Yeah.
not even like, it was just like, okay, I'm going to try it. And that's what I went into it with too. It was like, I'm going to bring my skateboard to the skate park. I'm going to roll around, see how I do. Started rolling around. I started getting into it a little bit more. Next thing you know, an hour and a half goes by, and by the end of it, I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm so glad I did that. And
And you
that's what
didn't
I,
do it to, like, get better or get rid of
yeah,
the anxiety, like,
yeah.
you went into it with curiosity of, like, "I'm gonna do this and see what happens,"
See what happens. If I
that's
leave in 5 minutes, cool. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I can leave. I don't have to stay.
See, that's the difference between, like, the energy of pushing
Yeah,
versus experimenting.
yeah, exactly.
Like, because when you're experimenting, there's no pressure, there's no
Yeah,
failing. You're
yeah,
just experimenting,
yeah,
but if you're pushing, then you're like, "Oh god, like, I overdid it," or "It's too much," or "I failed," or
Yeah.
"I'm not pushing hard enough. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just push more
Yeah.
through this?" Like, it just ends up creating, I think, this
Yeah.
environment in your mind where you can have this inner critic part coming out,
Yep. Yep.
and so if you go into, like, living your life with, "I'm gonna practice this, there's no pressure here." If I love that you were just like, "If it's 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes, and whatever, if it's 5 minutes, that's
Yeah.
fine too. I accept that it was only 5 minutes, or it's an hour and a half, that's cool too." It's like, that's
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
indifference and accepting just however this goes, like,
Yeah.
I accept it, you know?
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go, to the movies or something, and that's kinda how I approach it, like, I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens." Like, I
Yes.
might sit in the theater and just, like, it's a great time, and I might sit in there and feel terrible and wanna leave, and maybe I will leave, like, I
Yeah.
don't know what will
You don't
happen,
know.
but, like, it's okay,
Yeah.
whatever
Either
happens,
way,
like,
it's
I
okay.
didn't
Yeah.
fail, or I
Yeah.
didn't like, we're not getting grades on this, like, it's
Yeah.
just I'm
Yeah.
just practicing
Yeah.
engaging in things again while I
And
feel
that's
horrible. That's
sometimes,
it.
yeah. And that's it. That's it. Is like,
Yeah.
can you get better at feeling bad?
Yeah.
Because that is how you actually end up feeling good,
Yeah.
is you get better at feeling bad, and then you start feeling less bad about feeling bad, and then that shifts to, "Oh, I feel neutral," and then you actually start feeling good. But you gotta
Yeah.
kinda start with feeling better about feeling bad,
Yeah.
and that's how it all works. I feel like
That's
we
how
could
you
go
get
on
out of the way and just create that environment for things to kinda just settle on their own.
Yeah,
It's just like the
yeah.
whatever, you know?
Mhm. So true. Yeah, so true. I feel like we could talk about this forever, but we've been talking about it for
I
close to
know.
an hour. Um,
Yeah. Well, we
I
could
think
wrap
there's
this
been some
up and
people watching on live. Well, I'm gonna
cool.
post this video to our page. I'll add you as a collaborator, and yeah. And
Sweet.
if anyone has any questions, I don't know if anyone's is watching this. Um, Feel free to ask any questions in the comments section below, and we'll get to them. We'll do some follow up videos on some of the stuff that we talked about if it didn't make sense to you. um, feel free to let us know, and we'll we can expand on this, and expand on some of these things. Someone did actually. I could be in nature and socialize. Yeah, I consider myself almost healed. Yeah, I mean, and that's part of the journey. I don't know who that is. I think you're saying if I could be in nature and socialize, I considered myself almost healed. What is stopping you? Is it if it's your symptoms, this is some of the self-imposed limitations. And I'm not saying that you need to do this right now, but this is some where some of the work is like what's stopping you? Are you in a wheelchair? Are you like are you homebound because of actual limitations or these invisible limitations based on symptoms and fear? And I hope that doesn't sound harsh, but sometimes that is the journey is um, some of those things are self-imposed limitations and fear. It is symptoms that we're dealing with, right? They're there, but you could be out in nature. Nature is there's nothing dangerous there. I mean, maybe
Mhm.
if you're like going into the woods and like, there's bears or whatever, but like
Or the
you
real
can just go sit in a
crazy
park.
snowstorm.
What?
Yeah, or a crazy snowstorm or something, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think, like, what happens is people want to feel ready to face the
Mm,
fear or the symptoms getting loud while they're, out, but the thing is you're never gonna feel ready.
yeah.
Um, you do it before you feel ready, it's just a
Yeah.
decision.
Just a
That's
decision.
it. It's kinda like and you can decide, "I don't feel ready, but I'm still gonna do this
Yep.
because this is what I want."
Yep.
Deep down, like, this is what I want. I just wanna be free. I wanna be able to
Yeah.
do this kinda stuff. So then just start doing it, even if it's super small, like,
Yeah.
maybe there's a park, like, really close to your house, and there's some trees, and that's some nature, like, you know,
Yeah.
just start.
And you go there for a minute sometimes. Like
Yeah,
you just set that as like, I just want to get out there and just go just to try. And if I turn around right afterwards, that's cool. That's fine. It's not a failure. It's an attempt. Um,
mhm.
and then maybe you'll surprise yourself and you'll actually want to stay out there. because you feel better being outside. Because I always feel better being outside. That's why I'm outside of that. Like, as soon as we're done this, I'm outside for the rest of
Yeah.
the day until I'm
Mhm.
back inside. I'm always outside. I feel better outside. Nature is healing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, Whitney, it's been awesome chatting with you. We'll definitely do more of these for sure. I feel
Yeah.
like we could literally talk for hours, but it's time to chill.
Yeah.
Um,
Go get outside.
yeah,
I wish I could
Whitney.
get outside, but I have to
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
But I will
Whitney,
later.
there was a question here, but we'll follow up on another day. And so, someone said, "What approaches helped you through high level akathisia?"
Mm.
Yeah,
That needs to be, like, a
we'll,
complete
we'll do.
episode.
Okay, we'll do another video, or she'll do a
Um,
video or something.
but it's really a lot of what we just talked about.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
yeah. So start there. Start with accepting, even though that might feel like a really tall ask, like,
yeah,
it's temporary.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
She'll do another video. We'll do another collaborative video on this. But appreciate you guys
Okay.
watching, and put any other comments in this in the comment section of this when it gets posted to our pages.